Um, so in 2026, modern Swiss wealth management is it's this very sterile world, right?
Right. Marble floors, glass walls, all of that.
Exactly. And, acid-free archive boxes. But if you dig like exactly 735 years into the past of one of those spotless accounts, you don't find balance sheets.
No, you really don't.
You find a freezing shed, a murdered accountant, and a blood pact sealed in red wax.
It just shatters the entire illusion. We prefer to think of institutional wealth as something that just exists in a vacuum, completely divorced from physical violence.
Yeah.
But if you follow the paper trail far enough down, I mean, the ink always turns to blood.
It really does. And knowing how obsessed you are with the origins of financial power, I've been so eager to share this with you.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
So welcome to this series premiere of our 10-part deep dive into the novel Fünf Eide, which translates to Five Oaths. It's by the Swiss economist and visionary author Dr. Pooyan Ghamari.
Such a brilliant book.
Oh, completely. Over this series, we are tearing into the absolute architecture of wealth, the mechanics of generational guilt, and really the unredacted cost of history.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it.
So today we're dissecting the origin of a survival strategy built entirely on silence, stretching from a muddy lake in 1291 all the way to a high-stakes corporate audit in 2026.
And to understand the modern timeline, we really have to start at the absolute bedrock, right?
We have to.
The prologue of Dr. Ghamari's text doesn't start in a bank. It drops us onto the shores of a lake between Jonah and Rapper's Will in late autumn 1291. And the sensory details tell you everything you need to know about the geopolitical situation.
Right.
It smells like wet hemp, rotting fish, and the distinct, dull sweetness of human fear.
Oh, man, that description. Because the king is dead. And I want to pause on the mechanics of that for a second because in our modern framework, a head of state dying means, a funeral and an election.
Right, a transition of power.
Exactly. But in a medieval feudal system, when the king dies, the power vacuum is instantaneous.
Instantly.
The entire legal structure just evaporates overnight. Debts that were casually forgiven yesterday are suddenly being collected by roaming armed gangs today.
It's a total collapse of currency and trust.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the tiny, freezing shed on the shoreline. Hiding inside are 5 people who need to get across the water to survive. You have a 24-year-old man named Luke, his partner Anna, her injured father, her traumatized 11-year-old sister Gret, and an old aunt.
Right, they're desperate.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And their only way across is a ferryman named Ruthie.
But Luke only has a few coins in his fist. He is exactly 12 shillings short of the passage fee.
Yeah, and in 1291, a 12-shilling deficit isn't like a budgeting error,
Yeah.
a death sentence. But Ruodi isn't asking for coins. He understands that in a collapsed society, cash is totally meaningless.
Right, it's just metal.
Exactly. He wants the one tangible asset Lucas' family possesses, which is the ferry rights.
Wow.
The actual monopoly on launching boats from that specific physical spot on the shore.
So Ruodi basically says, give up your family's livelihood in front of the bailiff and I will row you to safety. Refuse and I leave you here for the enforcers.
Brutal.
It's brutal leverage. But the entire trajectory of this deep dive shifts because of a 6th person hiding in the dark corner of that shed. A hunted man named Conrad.
Yes, Conrad. Because
Yeah.
Conrad's presence changes the entire economic equation. He's essentially an early accountant for a trading house. And his crime wasn't theft or violence. He corrected a number.
Right. He literally just did math.
He challenged a powerful man's math with a piece of parchment. And for that offense, he is being hunted by armed men.
Right.
And around his neck, he carries a brass matrix.
The seal.
Yeah, a metal seal used for stamping wax. The crest is simple. It's a circle, a bar, and 5 short notches.
And Anna, Rutho's partner, observes all of this. She knows Conrad has planned. Like, she knows he intends to slip away to a place called Wormsbach as soon as the moon dips behind the clouds. And she just hands this intelligence to Luke. She doesn't tell him what to do.
Sure.
She just lays the information in front of him like a loaded weapon.
She really does, because
Yeah.
it forces Luke to make an impossible calculation.
Yeah,
If he surrenders the ferry rights to Ruodi, his family starves slowly.
right.
If he doesn't, the armed men catch them and they die quickly. But Anna provides a third variable, which is Conrad's life.
So when the armed enforcers finally arrive at the shed and demand to know if anyone else is around, Luke sells Conrad out.
Just instantly.
Yeah, he just points into the dark and says one word. He says, Wormsbach.
It's so cold. He trades a human life to protect his asset.
Yes.
And the enforcer is so thrilled to capture Conrad that he secures the ferry rights for Luke's family for life. officially. Rhodey rows them across the lake in total silence. They don't pay a single copper coin.
Conrad is captured, and we can safely assume executed. And a few days later, his worldly possessions are just dumped on a bench near the shed. And sitting in that bundle is the brass matrix. This leads to what I think is the most brilliant conceptual leap in the entire text. Anna looks at what they've done. They survived, yes, but she understands the metaphysical cost of that survival.
Yeah, the spiritual toll.
Exactly. She takes the official deed, the parchment the bailiff gave them, granting the ferry rights for life, and she goes to a local priest, a man whose hands shake so badly he can no longer betray anyone's secrets.
I love that detail.
It's so good. And I love the mechanical genius of what she does next. She essentially invents the world's first moral double-entry accounting ledger.
Oh, that's such a great analogy.
Right.
The parchment itself becomes a physical manifestation of a balance sheet.
Yes.
The front of the document is the asset. It is the sanitized legal public record of their ferry rights. But Anna forces the priest to write on the blank back of the parchment. She forces him to record the hidden liability, the betrayal of Conrad, the blood it cost to secure the asset.
Because she refuses to let the ledger sit unbalanced. She makes Luke swear a vow right there in the firelight. She says, no one of us will be delivered alone. She establishes the foundational law of this family's bloodline.
Right.
If you inherit the asset on the front, you inherit the sin on the back. You cannot sever the two.
And to lock this in permanently, she takes expensive red wax, melts it right over the edge where the front and the back of the parchment meet, and presses Conrad's cold brass matrix right into it.
Oh, the sound.
Yes. Dr. Ghamari describes the sound of the matrix hitting the wax as a sickening, satisfying crunch, like ice giving way under a heel.
Like ice giving way. Just hold on to that sound because it echoes across 7 centuries.
Literally.
But I want to explore how a family of medieval boat rowers transforms into the architects of modern Swiss finance. Because 67 years later, in 1358, the paradigm completely shifts.
Totally shifts. We are introduced to Gret. She is Anna's granddaughter, named after the traumatized little sister who was in the shed that night. Gret is 42 years old, and she is standing on the show watching her family's entire monopoly being annihilated.
Because of the bridge.
Exactly. The Austrian rulers have commissioned a massive wooden bridge to be built straight across the lake, directly over their ferry route.
So the physical asset is instantly worthless. You cannot compete with a bridge.
No.
And the normal reaction for a medieval laborer would be to, I don't know, riot or burn the bridge or petition the local lord.
Sure, fight back physically.
Yeah, but Gret operates on the cold logic inherited from her grandmother. She looks at the bridge and asks one question. She asks, who pays?
It is a stunning psychological leap.
It really is.
Gret realizes something that modern data monopolies understand today. The physical infrastructure, right? The bridge, the boat, the server, it's just overhead.
Yeah, it's just wood and nails.
Exactly. The real power belongs to the person who controls the choke point. The Austrian lord doesn't care about the wooden planks. He cares about abstracting tolls from the merchants crossing them.
So Gret goes to the local magistrate and she offers a trade. She voluntarily surrenders her family's ferry rights. She gives up the very thing her grandfather murdered a man to keep.
Just hands it over.
Just hands it over.
Yeah.
And in exchange, she makes a seemingly harmless request. She wants to be the one to sit at the edge of the bridge, run the books, and count the toll money.
She doesn't ask for a title.
No.
She doesn't even ask for a percentage of the profits.
Right.
She just asks for control of the ledger. She trades physical labor for information asymmetry.
It is the absolute genetic mutation of this family.
It really is.
They go from blue-collar laborers with mud on their boots to the ancestors of Swiss wealth managers in a single afternoon. They realize that moving the numbers is infinitely more powerful than moving the cargo. Gret takes a wooden splinter from the new bridge, locks it in a drawer alongside Conrad's brass matrix and Anna's original two-sided deed, and the family archive is officially born.
And that pivot in 1358 from physical asset to abstract financial control is the exact psychological programming operating inside our modern protagonist, Lena, in the year 2026.
Oh, man, Lena. So we're in Basel.
Yeah.
May 12, 2026. Lena is a professional auditor.
Mm-hmm.
She literally makes a living doing what Gret started doing on the bridge, which is hunting for missing variables, off-balance sheet risks, and unbalanced ledgers.
Right.
And we meet Lena in the most emotionally jarring setting possible. She is at the funeral of her mother, Clara Rossi.
Clara was 77. To the outside world, she was a retired librarian, someone who lived an entirely unassuming, quiet life.
Yeah, just a normal life.
But Lena Nez's auditor brain cannot turn off, even as they lower her mother into the ground. She is standing at the grave, compulsively counting the attendees. She counts exactly 80 people.
It's a trauma response. When your world is falling apart, you look for quantifiable data to ground you.
Exactly.
But then the ledger throws a massive anomaly at her. Standing at the edge of the cemetery, separate from the 80 mourners, is an uninvited man in his early 40s. Dark suit, absolute terrifying ease. His name is Victor Falk.
Victor Falk is the physical manifestation of that sterile, modern wealth management world.
Completely.
He approaches Lena and just shatters the illusion of her mother's simple life. He informs her that Clara, the retired librarian, was a highly valued client of his exclusive wealth management firm for 9 years.
Which fundamentally breaks Lena's understanding of her own reality. Like, how does a librarian afford a high-tier Swiss wealth manager?
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't. And Falk doesn't offer any normal condolences. He drops a highly specific, unsettling piece of intelligence. He tells Lena that back in October, Clara asked him a bizarre legal question. She asked, does a toll expire?
And just boom.
Boom.
The word toll immediately bridges 735 years of history.
Right back to Gret.
It connects Clara directly back to Gret sitting on that wooden bridge in 1358. And Falk isn't just delivering a message, he is establishing a threat matrix.
Yeah.
He politely informs Lena that in exactly 4 weeks, he's going to become very unpleasant to her.
Ah, so creepy.
He came to the funeral simply to look his opponent in the eye before the war started.
This sends Lena and her 82-year-old father, Dariush, straight to the notary, Dr. Bruno Way, to execute the will.
Right.
The notary brings out a sealed, gray, acid-free archive box. Inside, there are 3 items. A heavy ledger bound in calfskin from 1847, a small case containing the ancient brass matrix, and an envelope sealed with fresh, bright red wax.
Oh, man.
Stamped perfectly into that modern wax is the 1291 crest, the circle, the bar, and the 5 notches.
It's all coming together.
Now, written across the envelope is a strict instruction that says, for Lena, the volume remains closed until June 30. And I really need to unpack Claria's motives here, because on the surface, you could argue a mother is setting a boundary to protect her daughter from whatever radioactive secret is in that box.
Sure, yeah.
But I absolutely do not buy that. Clara raised an auditor. She knows exactly how Lena's brain works. You do not hand a professional investigator a locked box and tell them to wait a month for no reason.
Oh, I completely agree with your read on this. It wasn't a protective boundary. It was a psychological trigger.
Right.
Clara weaponized Lena's own nature against her. She knew that an auditor confronted with an unexplained restriction will instantly perceive it as a vulnerability that needs to be probed.
Exactly. Lena doesn't even make it out of the notary's building. She stops in the stairwell, puts the box on a windowsill, takes her thumbnail, and shoves it under the red wax.
She just can't wait.
No. And Dr. Ghamari gives us that sensory callback. When the seal breaks, it makes a sickening, satisfying crunch, like ice giving way under a heel.
I love that motif. And inside the envelope, Clara leaves a set of instructions that confirm the family's philosophical DNA hasn't changed since 1291. She tells Lena that when she inevitably disobeys and opens the 1847 book, she must start reading from the back. Clara writes, at the front is what we got.
Meaning, the front of the book is the sanitized asset. It's the lie.
Yep.
The back of the book is the liability, the blood, the truth. So Lena takes this 1847 ledger to an expert restorer, Dr. Sylvia Trube. Lena assumes she is holding a pure historical artifact.
Sure, just an old book.
But Dr. Trube immediately bursts that bubble. She examines the binding and explains that this book is a highly curated product.
Which is wild,
Yeah.
because Dr. Trube shows Lena where, at some point in the 20th century, someone took specialized surgical tools and expertly sliced out 2 entire layers of pages from the middle of the manuscript.
Unbelievable.
And they then professionally resewed the spine to hide the extraction.
Wow.
You only go to that level of meticulous effort if you were trying to erase the structural foundation of an asset while keeping the outer facade totally intact.
But Clara anticipated this void, because when Lena follows the instructions and looks inside the back cover, right where the paper's peeling away from the cardboard, she finds a string of characters written in blue ballpoint pen, 4.7129.088031K. And Lena knows instantly the handwriting isn't her mother's.
At first, Lena tries to apply a librarian logic to it, thinking it might be a Dewey Decimal Code or an archive coordinate. But when she shifts back into her auditor mindset, The architecture of the numbers makes sense.
Right.
It isn't a library code. It is a compartment identifier.
Which is, I want to break down exactly how a compartment identifier functions, especially for you, since you deal with corporate structure.
No, absolutely.
A compartment is a legally walled-off microfund. It also a way to park assets so deeply inside a larger corporate entity that the liability doesn't bleed over.
Yeah, it insulates the main fund.
Right. And where is this specific dark money fund parked? Inside the Darvishi Foundation for Applied Process Chemistry, a foundation run by Lena's own father.
So Clara essentially hid the digital routing coordinates to a modern shadow banking fund inside a forged medieval ledger.
It's just brilliant.
But discovering the code activates a terrifying ticking clock.
Using her legal observer credentials, Lena crashes a foundation board meeting uninvited. She sits silently in the back row and listens to the executives discuss a massive structural reorganization. The foundation is preparing to fully absorb this specific compartment fund.
So let's explain the mechanics of what absorbing means in this context.
Yeah, please.
It is the corporate equivalent of formatting a hard drive.
Oh, wow.
By absorbing the compartment into the main foundation, they dissolve its borders. All the historical metadata, the paper trail of where the money came from and who originally deposited it will be permanently erased.
Gone.
Legally, the origin story of the asset ceases to exist.
And the date this restructuring becomes legally binding, June 4th.
June 4th, which violently reframes Clara's instruction on the envelope.
Do not open until June 30. If Lena had been an obedient daughter, right, if she had respected the boundary and waited until the end of June to open the box, the corporate restructuring on June 4th would have wiped the trail clean 26 days prior. She would have opened the book, found the code, and realized the asset had been legally vaporized.
So Clara's deadline was a smokescreen. It was a stress test of Lena's character.
She knew she'd open it early.
She needed Lena to rebel. She needed her daughter to break the seal immediately, or the truth would have been legally untouchable forever.
And Victor Folk knows she broke the seal.
Yeah.
At 23:40 that night, Lena's phone lights up with a text message from him.
Ugh, this guy.
It is chillingly polite. He acknowledges that she crashed the foundation meeting. He knows she found the K-reserve compartment code, but then he reframes the entire battlefield. He texts, "The compartment is real. It is not the problem. The problem is what was put into it in 1962.
And 1962 introduces a massive new variable. Falk is telegraphing that the capital inside the fund isn't the issue.
Right.
Money is just money. The radioactive element is the origin of whatever physical or financial asset was locked inside that compartment 64 years ago.
Wow.
It as the back of the parchment. It as the hidden liability.
Which brings us to the final cinematic image of this first part. Leah is standing alone in her kitchen in Basel in the dark. She can hear the rain falling, the river Rhine rushing past. She holds her phone in one hand. In the other, she has an old, expired digital access key from a previous audit.
Oh, boy.
A key she is absolutely, unequivocally not authorized to use.
If she uses that key to breach the Foundation's legacy data room, it will instantly generate an unerasable digital log. Victor Falk will know.
Yep.
The Foundation board will know. It is a legal point of no return.
She is standing in the exact same psychological position Luke occupied in the freezing shed in 1291.
Oh, that's such a good point.
She is staring into the dark, deciding whether to make a choice that will irrevocably compromise her safety in exchange for the truth.
The symmetry is haunting. We spent this entire time unpacking the architecture of wealth and the mechanics of hidden funds, but I think Funfied pushes us toward a much deeper, more uncomfortable realization about the nature of modern society.
Really? How so?
Well, we operate under the assumption that historical crimes eventually age out, right? We think that if you wash the money through enough generations, through enough foundations and asset managers, the blood eventually dilutes into clean water.
Right. Time heals all ledgers.
Exactly. But what Dr. Ghamari is demonstrating is that a ledger doesn't care about time. It makes you wonder, if every massive modern fortune has a 1291 Ferryman moment buried somewhere at its foundation, at what point does the statute of limitations on blood money actually expire?
Oh, man.
Does a toll ever truly expire? Or is modern capitalism just medieval feudalism wearing a tailored suit?
That is a staggering thought. The front of the parchment is the tailored suit. The back of the parchment is the freezing shed. And right now, Lena is only just beginning to translate the back. This has been an incredibly intense launch to our series.
It really has.
But if you think a cryptic text message about 1962 is the only secret hiding in Clara's archive box, you are vastly underestimating the labyrinth Dr. Ghamari has built. Next time on the deep dive, we are going to reconstruct the forgery. We are going to find out exactly who took surgical tools to the 1847 manuscript, what layers they were so desperate to cut out, and what actually went into that dark money fund on a Monday morning in 1962.
Can't wait for that one.
You're going to want to have your notes ready for this one. Until then, keep questioning the ledger.